everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we are going to be tackling the incredible buzz surrounding Fernanda Torres.
Oh, yeah.
This Brazilian actress who's captivating audiences worldwide. Her film, I'm Still Here, isn't just breaking box office records. It's sparking all kinds of conversations, about history and politics and just the strength of the human spirit.
Absolutely.
And I know you've mentioned before that you're interested in these types of films that tackle difficult historical periods.
Definitely.
And this one really seems to do it. And we've got some great excerpts from an article about Torres and the film. So let's kind of unpack why this story is resonating so deeply with audiences right now.
Yeah, it's really fascinating how Torres's success goes way beyond like the typical Hollywood narrative. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's really intertwined with Brazil's own kind of reckoning with its past. This isn't just about entertainment. This is about a nation confronting this really, really painful chapter in its history.
Okay, so let's start with the woman of the hour, Fernanda Torres.
Sure.
Golden Globe win.
Yep.
Oscar nomination.
Historic.
Both historic firsts for a Brazilian actress.
Incredible.
The article even mentions this funny story about her Golden Globe almost being confiscated by TSA.
Oh, really?
But what I'm really curious about is the national pride surrounding her achievements.
Yeah.
The article compared it to the fervor around soccer.
Oh, wow.
With celebrations in Brazil reaching World Cup levels of excitement. What do you think is fueling this intense national pride, especially compared to something like soccer?
I think it goes deeper than just, rooting for a fellow Brazilian on the world stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm Still Here tackles this really dark period in Brazil's history. The military dictatorship, a time when people just vanished and families were torn apart, and this fear of speaking out silenced a lot of people, a lot of dissent, and that's what this film really captures. And I think for a lot of Brazilians, this is a chance to finally see this painful chapter acknowledged on this huge scale.
Yeah, you've often mentioned how powerful these generational stories are.
Oh, they're so powerful.
And I think that's one of the things that drew you to this deep dive in the first place. Here we have Fernanda Torres following in the footsteps of her mother, Fernanda Montenegro.
Right.
Both incredible actresses taking on these weighty roles that force us to reckon with the past.
Yeah, it's a remarkable lineage. It speaks to this legacy of storytelling in Brazilian cinema. Fernanda Montenegro, of course, was nominated for an Oscar back in 1998 for Central Station.
Wow.
And that was a film directed by the same director, Walter Salles.
Now that's a fascinating connection.
Yeah.
So it seems like Salles is drawn to these stories that explore the kind of complexities of Brazilian society.
For sure.
The resilience of the human spirit, the search for truth and justice.
Absolutely. And, in both films, he features these incredible female protagonists at the center of it all. It's their stories that drive the narrative. It's their strength and resilience that captures the audience.
Yeah, and in I'm Still Here, that protagonist is Eunice Paiva. The film is based on a true story. It was adapted from the memoirs of Marcelo Rubens Paiva, whose father was one of the disappeared during the dictatorship.
Wow.
Imagine having your life upended by such a sudden and traumatic loss.
I can't even imagine.
Living with that uncertainty and that fear.
Right.
Torres portrays Eunice with such rawness and vulnerability.
Yeah, Torres's performance is being held as transformative, and it's clear that she went to extraordinary lengths to embody Eunice. The article talks about her intense acting, coaching her deep dive into Eunice's psychology, even writing letters as Eunice to her family. She truly inhabited this character to the point where she was still experiencing Eunice's emotions long after filming had wrapped.
Wow, that's method acting to a whole other level.
It really is.
I can only imagine how emotionally demanding that must have been.
Yeah.
But it speaks to her dedication to this role and to her desire to really honor Eunice's story. What strikes me is that, in Brazil, she's primarily known for her comedic roles, in TV sitcoms.
Yeah, exactly. Which makes her performance in I'm Still Here all the more impressive.
Yeah.
It showcases her incredible range as an actress and her ability to inhabit these really complex dramatic roles with such authenticity and depth.
It really makes you think about the dedication and the talent that it takes to completely transform yourself like that. I'm curious, though, what specific challenges do you think Torres might have faced transitioning from comedic roles to such a heavy, emotionally charged character like Eunice?
Well, that's a great question. From a technical standpoint, she had to shift from a performance style that relies on, timing, wit, physicality, to one that demands emotional vulnerability, restraint, and this deep understanding of, the character's inner turmoil.
Right.
Imagine having to portray the grief, the fear, the uncertainty of someone who's lost a loved one under such horrific circumstances.
It must have been a delicate balancing act for Torres to portray Eunice's strength and resilience while also conveying the immense pain and trauma that she endured.
Definitely.
It's just incredible.
Yeah.
And it makes you think about, just the power of storytelling and the way that it can really bring these historical events to life.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really is a testament to Torres' skill as an actress, that she's able to convey both, the vulnerability and the unwavering strength of Eunice. You really get a sense of her transformation from like a traditional housewife to this fierce advocate for justice.
That's what I find so compelling about Eunice's story. This wasn't some political activist or firebrand from the start. This was an ordinary woman thrust into these extraordinary circumstances. And it's that relatability that makes her journey all the more powerful, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Eunice's story resonates because it speaks to the potential that kind of lies dormant within each of us.
Right.
We all have this capacity for courage and resilience, even when we're faced with unimaginable adversity.
And, for decades, this story was hidden silence by the fear and oppression of the dictatorship. It was only through Marcelo's memoirs published years later that Eunice's story was finally brought to light. It's almost as if her story was waiting to be told, waiting to inspire a new generation.
And it seems like it's doing just that.
Yeah.
The film is prompting this national conversation in Brazil about this really difficult period in their history. It's forcing people to acknowledge the atrocities that happened during the dictatorship, to remember those who are lost, and grapple with the legacy of trauma that I think still lingers.
It's like a collective catharsis,
Yeah.
a chance for healing and understanding.
Right.
But it's not just about the past, is it? The film's message of resilience and resistance feels incredibly relevant to current events as well. Think about the political climate in Brazil and the US and other parts of the world.
That's right. The film serves as this potent reminder that the fight for democracy and human rights is an ongoing struggle. It's a call to action, urging us to be vigilant against authoritarianism, to speak truth to power, and to stand up for what we believe in.
And it's a little unnerving, isn't it, how art imitates life? The article mentions that had Bolsonaro won re-election, they wouldn't have been able to film a lot of the scenes in I'm Still Here.
Wow.
The parallels to the censorship during the dictatorship are pretty chilling.
It's a chilling thought, and it makes you wonder, are we truly learning from the past, or are we doomed to repeat it?
Right.
And the recent revelation about Bolsonaro's planned coup adds another layer of complexity to this whole discussion.
Yeah.
It highlights how fragile democratic institutions really are, and that we need to constantly safeguard them.
Definitely food for thought.
Yeah.
But let's shift gears for a moment and go back to Fernanda Torres. Her journey to this point is just as fascinating as the story she's telling in the film. The article touches on her upbringing, surrounded by artists and intellectuals, her early exposure to theater and film. It sounds like she was almost destined to follow in her mother's footsteps.
You could definitely see those influences shaping her career path. And speaking of Fernanda Montenegro, to have both mother and daughter nominated for Oscars is truly remarkable.
It's incredible.
It's like a passing of the torch, a continuation of a legacy of powerful storytelling and artistic excellence.
What's interesting is that Montenegro was also nominated for a film by Walter Salles back in 1998. It seems like he has a knack for telling these deeply human stories that also offer a commentary on Brazilian society. And in both Central Station and I'm Still Here, he chose to center the narratives around these compelling female protagonists.
Yeah, it speaks to the power of these women's stories, their ability to transcend cultural boundaries and connect with audiences on this universal level.
Right.
And Torres' performance in I'm Still Here is being praised for its authenticity and emotional depth. The article mentions that she would experience Eunice's emotions long after filming had wrapped, which speaks to the depth of her immersion in the role.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How does an actor separate themselves from a role that intense? It must be a blur between where the character ends and the actor begins.
Yeah.
And the fact that she's primarily known for her comedic work in Brazil makes her transformation to Eunice all the more impressive.
It's a testament to her versatility as an actress and her commitment to the craft. It's not easy to transition from making people laugh to portraying the rawness and vulnerability of someone who's experienced such profound loss.
Right.
It requires a deep understanding of human emotions and a willingness to kind of delve into those dark and difficult places.
And it sounds like audiences are really responding to her performance. The article talks about how fans in Brazil are treating this Oscar race like a World Cup final.
It's incredible, isn't it?
It is.
It speaks to the power of art to unite people and ignite a sense of national pride.
Yeah.
This transcends just entertainment. This is about cultural identity, shared history, and the hope for recognition on a global stage.
It's like the whole nation is holding its breath hoping she wins. But beyond the awards and accolades, what I find truly inspiring is how I'm Still Here is sparking these important conversations about history, politics, and the human condition.
It's a testament to the power of storytelling to challenge us, move us, and inspire us to be better, more engaged citizens.
Mm-hmm.
And in a world where authoritarianism seems to be on the rise, Eunice Paiva's story of resilience and resistance feels more timely than ever.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are some key takeaways you'd like our listener to ponder?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is just the sheer magnitude of Fernanda Torres' Oscar nomination.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a monumental event for Brazil. It's shining a spotlight not just on her talent,
right.
but on the country's vibrant film scene.
It's about more than just one woman's success, though, right? It feels like a cultural moment for Brazil.
Yeah, precisely. This recognition on a global stage taps into this deep well of national pride.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. For decades, Brazil's global image has been largely shaped by things like soccer and carnival and, unfortunately, political turmoil.
Right.
Now, with I'm Still Here, they're showcasing a different side.
Yeah.
Their ability to grapple with this complex history through powerful storytelling. It's a cultural shift, a reframing of how the world sees them.
And how they see themselves, too. I mean, this film isn't shying away from a really dark chapter in their past.
No, it's not.
It's forcing a national reflection on the legacy of the dictatorship, something that many people may have preferred to just leave buried.
Exactly. And that's what makes I'm Still Here so much more than just a well-made film.
Right.
It's a catalyst for dialogue, for healing, for potentially even reshaping a national identity.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that you're drawn to stories about resilience, and Eunice Paiva's journey embodies that perfectly.
Oh, she does.
She's not just surviving, she's actively fighting for truth and justice in a system that was designed to silence her.
It's incredible.
And it's interesting how her story resonates so strongly right now in a global context.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing this resurgence of authoritarianism in various parts of the world, threats to democratic institutions. It's a little unnerving how timely this film feels.
It is. It's almost as if Eunice's struggle, though rooted in a specific time and place, serves as this blueprint for how to navigate these uncertain times.
Yeah.
Her unwavering commitment to truth, her civility, even in the face of brutality. Those are qualities worth reflecting on regardless of where you live or what political climate you're facing.
It begs the question, doesn't it? How can we, like Eunice Paiva, find that strength and that civility to resist injustice?
Yeah,
It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the scale of the problem that we're facing globally.
for sure.
But Eunice's story reminds us that individual acts of courage, of speaking out, of simply refusing to be silenced, can have this ripple effect.
Absolutely, and I think that's a powerful message to leave with our listener. I'm Still Here is more than just a film. It's a reminder of the importance of facing difficult truths, of fighting for what's right, and of finding the strength to persevere even when it feels like all hope is lost.
Beautifully said. So to wrap things up, if you're looking for a film that will stay with you long after the credits roll,
Oh yeah,
I'm Still Here is a must-see.
for sure.
It's a story about loss, about courage, about the enduring power of the human spirit. And as we anxiously await the Oscar results, let's take a moment to appreciate the power of art, to illuminate, to challenge, and to connect us to the shared human experience.
Well said. It's a story that will stay with you.
And that concludes our deep dive into the world of Fernanda Torres, and I'm Still Here. We hope you enjoyed exploring these ideas with us. Until next time, keep diving deep.